So landlords, listen up. And with the renters' right bill coming in, this shit is not getting any easier. I feel so sorry for this lady. So basically she rented out her family home, I think it says after a divorce, and for a year the tenant paid the rent, but then after that stopped paying the rent, and it took her over another year to get the tenant out. She owed a year's worth of rent and left the house in this absolute state. And you tend to find this sort of shit happens to the accidental landlords, the landlords with one property, which tends to be one that they lived in beforehand, maybe met their current partner, move into one house. And it always happens to a standard tenant. Very rarely does it happen to with like students, HMOs, commercial, always single lets. And the renters' right bill is there predominantly for single renters. And this means, I think, along with high interest rates, high stamp duty, high cost of conversion, huge amounts of legislation and red tape, and then now the added renters' right bill, standard AST buy to let investments are dead. The amount of people I meet, and you could kind of paint the picture, who say, oh yeah, we tried buy to let, but we had issues, or I was making a little bit every month and then the boiler went and it killed the profit, etc., etc., all those things. Those are the types of people who try, fail, exit, and it happens all the time. And when people tell me, I'm like, shit, no wonder why it failed. You did everything wrong. Firstly, when you buy a property for investment, you need to buy it with the whole intention of buying it below market value. You buy yourself into a position of strength. If anything goes wrong, like this, the market changes, you change your mind, whatever, you move abroad. If you've bought it below market value, even if the market drops back, you can sell it. You can even reduce the price and sell it. So you need to buy yourself into a position of strength, which means buying it cheap. The second thing is you must buy it with a long-term view and a short-term win. Whether it's either one is your priority. A buy and sell, a buy and flip is a short-term win. A buy and rent is a long-term gain. Now, I've bought properties to sell 10 years ago and I still own them today because things changed. But I had a long-term plan B with it. I've also bought student houses, which I plan to hold for years, and I sell 6 months later because I can make a quick 150 grand, tripling my original investment. Always have a long-term and a short-term goal. That way, no matter what happens, no matter what legislation gets dropped in by the ridiculous government, what tax changes, anything, you can shift and change with the market. That's so crucial. And thirdly, you must always, without shadow of a doubt, must be your sole purpose for buying that property, that project, is recycle your cash out. Buy, refurbish if you have to, but refinance that cash out. If you can do it without refurbishment, which means you've got a great below market value deal, even better. If you can do it with minimal refurbishment, great. But if it's going to cost you an absolute fortune to refurbish it, you won't be able to refinance your money out. And this is the other trap I see loads of people getting into. A lot of them are my copycats, and then they scratch their head 18 months later wondering, why the fuck haven't they made any money? And it's because they get the refurbishment wrong. Not all refurbishments should be treated equally. Time and time again, I see people spend money on extensions, spend money re-roofing properties, spend money on new windows and doors when it doesn't need doing. Your refurb is just as, if not more than, important than the purchase price and the end value. And that's the other thing. What's the end value? Not what you hope it will be, not what you're dreaming it will be. What's proven in the market? What's a valuer going to value your house up as? So if I buy a 3-bed ex-local authority and I turn it into 5 bedrooms with 5 en-suites in its existing fabric and spend 50 grand doing it, my value is 400,000, 410, 425. If you spend 150,000 and you only create an extra bedroom, but you don't increase the rental yield, or you create the same amount of bedrooms, but they're all twice the size, it doesn't fucking matter. It's the same fucking value, because the value is derived from what is sold in the market. Time and time again, people have great looking properties. They're massive, but they don't recycle their cash out. And then they're left there wondering why they're running out of money, or why their investor is pissed off. Refurbishment is the most crucial part of this whole process. And if you don't do any of those things, then you're going to fail. You're basically a vanilla buy-to-let investor, buying the properties that I refurbishment off of me where I want to make money. And if you're thinking about getting into that market on just a vanilla buy-to-let, by just putting your money in and working out the yield, this is not for you. Fuck me, even buying refurbishment refinance is very, very difficult at the minute because of the amount of stamp duty, because of the amount of the legislation, because how dry the market is. It's having an effect on the knock-on end values. Get my words out. However, even with all of the doom and gloom, red tape, Labour government bullshit, there is still money to be made. You just have to know where to look.